Good evening, welcome to the Hearthstone Half Hour. It's New Player Monday. I'm Hammy with FailCraft Casts. Hope you're well and good. And today we're going to be jumping in and doing what we normally do, ladder and learn a little bit on stream, twitch.tv/FailCraft Casts. So anyone who is in the chat, hello and welcome. If you've got decks you want to see, throw them out. Let's have a look. While we're laddering, we'll have a bit of a chat about the decks that we're playing, a little bit about the decks that our opponents are playing, a little bit of play, a little bit of analysis, a little bit of looking at the metagame, and approaching everything from a new playerish perspective. I would probably say at best I'm average. However, I've played a few card games in my time, so for all my Hearthstone fails, I can just about guide into something reasonably useful. Okay, so what we've been running so far, it ain't pretty, but it's effective. We're taking a look at Mech Mage. I've just been on a little bit of a run, so that's why I'm sticking with this deck. As and when the meta changes, as and when you fancy anything different live on stream, we'll have a look through those as well. Brief review of this Mech Mage. It is not a full-on Mech Mage. It does have Mirror Entity in. Mirror Entity is so handy for just messing up your opponent's plans. And with the golems, with the Tinkertown Techs, it's got a little bit more early pressure. The water elementals, a bit of a different play. You could have Yetis in there, but the water elementals is to slow down and cause weapons deck few problems. Lothar slows down spells. Black Knight punches through. I've subbed in Toshli. Now this deck is originally a one that Reynad and similar, Tempo Storm and similar have been having a little play with, and it has in a Blingatron. Blingatron is an interesting pick. I'm not going to pretend that I fully know how to use it because I've not tried it, because I've not crafted a Blingatron. But Blingatron is interesting, and then it gives you, of course, a weapon, your opponent a weapon. I've seen a few people using it with acidic Swampoos, equip your mage with a weapon, remove your opponent's weapon, but it effectively gives you a bit of extra burst damage as a mage. If you can Blingatron into a fireball and you grab yourself a nice big weapon, then that can be a big burst win, which is where Blingatron can be so useful. You get a weapon, you finish the game, or grab tempo and control before your opponent's weapon can really do too much. And to deny us, that's the Mech Mage synergy with spare pots. Grabbing the spare pots, throwing down the ones, grabbing the fireballs as a finisher, and Dot Boom is also in there too, as a little bit bursty. We've got a few other decks we can jump into as well, so I'll just quickly run you through these two, even though we start with Zero Strong. We've got a Bubbledin, some mid-range Paladin, which is trying to use Blood Knights to steal bubbles off opposing minions and also our own, as a little bit of more bursty early game damage. Otherwise, Muster for Battle, Quartermaster combo, and then boom, lay on hands Tyrion with a strong mid-game finish. So pretty much a mid-range Paladin. If you're looking at Kalentodins or similar, this is pretty much in that vein. Then it's kind of a Sparks Hunter. If you're a Hearthpawn frequenter, you'll know Sparks are his various ranges into the Hunter class. This is not full-on facey rush, but if you take a look at the mana curve, it's pretty hard hitting in the early game, but has the follow-up. So Houndmaster can solidify your table position. Tundra Rhino, 2 Savannah High Mains, you should be finishing by mid to mid-late game, and all of this should help you grab the early game. Snake Trap and Juggler. Snake Trap and Creeper, giving you that chip damage away. Timberwolf, Unleash the Hounds, with Cultmaster in there for sacrificing your minions to draw more cards to accelerate you into that win position. So get out your Mad Scientist, grab your various traps for slowing down. Explosive Trap could be sort of something else, but against rushes, against sort of rush-to-rush decks, and against Mech Mages, that Explosive Trap makes all the difference in the early game. Otherwise, a few little, as with Hunter, it's not full-on all face rush, or some of the Hunters that you see. You do need to play around things a little bit, but it's really just working out your Knife Juggler, Snake Trap and Creeper, keeping that pressure in the early game, making good beneficial trades. Hunter's Mark, of course, means that you can remove tanks, remove minions, as and when, particularly with the chip damage from the Knife Juggler. Tundra Rhino, a nice pick that actually really came in and helped me. You throw down the Tundra Rhino, beasts have charge, your beast has charge, your Tundra Rhino has charge as soon as it hits the table as well. So very good for getting down various beasts and helping them do that bit more damage. But Tundra Rhino really good for making some trades, punching through and similar. So a nice pick there. I've had some good fun with that. Last but not least, probably the other deck we'll have in our pocket is the Control Warrior. If you've tuned into our YouTube or stream, you will have seen fairly frequently. This current iteration, Tecton Cleave, has one less shield maiden than some people would go for. The Cleave is just an experiment against the early game, only one Whirlwind because you're packing 2 Deathbite. That aside, Harrison could be swapped in a non-weapon heavy metagame. Harrison Jones is fairly inconsequential. Apart from that, you can tweak around your finishes a little bit. Ragnaros, Alexstrasza, Grommash. Possibilities, you can throw in a Gorehowl as another 7 damage finisher, very very nice indeed. Gorehowl great at cleaning up minions. A few other small tweaks you can do in the early game, but not huge amounts. A lot of Control Warrior, there's a very solid core. So we're going to go straight up with Mage first, and fix in chat if you've got any preferences for decks you'd like to see, be it one of those 4, be it something else entirely, do let us know. Lovely stuff. So let's jump on in. Rank 12. The glories of rank 12 at this point in time. Look, I can even change my Twitch stream name and change it to rank 12. So I tend to find that I get a little bit stuck in season. Of course, since we last met, if you've been tuning in on YouTube, you'll have seen that a new Hearthstone adventure mode has been announced. Blackrock Mountain, very very exciting. Blackrock Mountain, I think Wing 1 is Blackrock Depths, 2 is Molten Core, 3 is then Blackrock Spire. Remember that in Warcraft, of course, if you're a World of Warcraft there was Upper Blackrock Spire and Lower Blackrock Spire. So 2 instances in one. And then, apparently according to those data mining folk, the final one, right, we're playing a Mage. Mad Scientist I'm happy with. Frostbolt, pretty happy with as well. Snow Chugger, I'm good with all of that. That's a nice starting hand. Mad Scientist is probably my turn to play, because in a Mage versus Mage, whoever gets the better of the mirror entities is probably going to triumph. But there's nothing wrong with a Mad Scientist down nice and early. So Blackrock Mountain, what we're talking about, due for release next month, so April 2015. Very excited about that indeed. The final wing, according to data miners, was something called like Secret Lab, Hidden Lab, so who knows what that's going to be. But if in Blackrock Mountain and Molten Core there were just so many bosses, like Blackrock Depths, there was your attuning to Molten Core instance, you had like, there was like 15 different bosses or something crazy like that. It was a very long instance. I remember it was the one that everyone was, you know, gear checking and saying, oh, are you good enough to do Blackrock Depths? We're going on a Molten Core attunement run and all that kind of stuff. So good times there indeed. And the first 5 cards have been announced. I'm pretty sure that week by week we'll see a few more cards. Oh, what happened there? It looks as though there was just some connection problem in general. Well, that was unexpected. I was hoping I was going to get a nice free win there. Maybe not. Okie dokie. Okay, Hunter time. So, in terms of Hunter start, could be a facey rushy Hunter. Yeah, that's actually a really good starting hand. I would question if it's too slow. Coining into a Mad Scientist, brilliant. Mech Warper. The only thing I could really wish for is 1-drop mechs, but Snow Chugger and Golem feel useful. So as not to be too risky, I'm actually going to keep that. Other option is turn 2, of course, can coin into a Mech Walker and Snow Chugger. So now that my opponent's played nothing on turn 1, it might not be too facey. I'm actually going to pass. Risky, a little bit risky. Mirror Entity could help me with the trades. If Steady Shot comes out, we could well be seeing a Control Hunter here. This could be a mid-game Hunter. It shouldn't be full-on face, or if they are a full-on face Hunter, they're not having a very good time. So, Snow Chugger, awesome card in general, very very strong against anything that uses weapons, just because that freeze effect, if you can get it straight on the enemy hero, you're going to have a good time. They're not going to be swinging at you with weapons. And there's the perfect illustration. Hunter will probably go straight into the Snow Chugger here. We'll take the freeze for a turn, but generally the Hunter will try and throw down probably a secret of some description, and that will refuel, of course, the Eaglehorn Bow. Whenever a friendly secret is revealed, gain 1 durability. So options, a lot of Hunter minions at this stage could be small. When your opponent plays a minion, summon a copy of it. Remember, if a Hunter uses Animal Companion, that's summoning a minion, it's not playing a minion. Important difference, so it won't trigger Mirror Entity. decisions here. I could Tinkertown Tech for some reasonable pressure. Remember, of course, opponent is not going to be able to swing next turn. So I'm actually going to try and grab a bit more table position. Tap some damage. There's not going to be any attack with that Eaglehorn Bow, but what we may well get, of course, is some kind of trap. Freezing trap, explosive trap. There we go. So, down goes a Web Spinner. Not going to be doing loads. One more mana. Hunter's Mark. Okay. So the Hunter's Mark very much suggests to me that that's an explosive trap. Reason for that, if I attack enemy hero, that's going to go. So, how do we do this? Well, the explosive trap, if I test for explosive trap, I'm going to lose this anyway. That's dead anyway, but I can keep Mech Warper alive. So, there we go. A slight recharge on the weapon there, which is going to be so useful. What I can do now, though, is one of two things. I can mirror entity into a Neutron, or I can get two of these down and start pulling out secrets of my own. I'm going to go for the Mad Scientist. Now, the reason for Mad Scientist is that if I get two mirror entities in my hand, I'm not packing any other secrets in this deck. So Mad Scientist loses value if I actually have all my secrets in hand. If I can sacrifice it, then at least I get the free secret as well. In swings Eaglehorn Bow, in swings Web Spinner. Down goes Hunter's Own Mad Scientist. So I can turn 6 Toshly, and that's going to be a nice swingy play for me. Can I remove all of these? I can go trade. I can go toe to toe, secret for secret. This is dangerous. I don't really have huge amounts of mechs I'm going to do things with, so I'll throw that mech down for the time being. That then allows me to double sacrifice those. Getting rid of Leok is pretty key because we might see Unleash the Hounds, all kinds of stuff. I don't really want that risk. So first things first. Remember, of course, I've also got a mirror entity that should now get pulled in. I can save that and then play my other. So any other Mad Scientist I have is kind of worthless. I'm going to take that trade, I think. And because I've got mirror entity up, all I can really do now, I fully expect we'll see potentially a trade there. A double trade off the table, unless they've got something with charge. So for that reason, I'm actually going to ping. It's unlikely there's anything that's going to charge me, so I'm going to ping to that, assuming that that Mad Scientist is going to die in a trade. Could have pinged to the Mad Scientist for another one. That would have certainly meant that if I really needed to, I could kill it next go. Oh, there you go. So that would have been from the Web Spinner. A good play. That triggered my mirror entity and gave me nothing useful whatsoever. In comes a Hellmaster. Doubly interesting because he can then buff the Hungry Crowd, which is in fact a beast. There you go. And this can actually attack face. He doesn't even have to trade now. So that Murloc has thrown a small screw in my works. Now Toshly is just a nice strong play here because I can start making trades. The other decision is, can I pick enough of this off to make it worth not playing Toshly? So the chances of a useful sort of thing in hand for my opponent reasonably high. They could have a Savannah Highmane. Mirror entitying a Savannah Highmane would be a very, very challenging play indeed. But if I don't get Toshly on the table, Toshly will give my opponent something to think about. Dot Boom will then fly into play the next play. So really it's a question of, do I try and protect against my opponent throwing something down, because this will all start attacking to face. And of course this could be a freezing or an explosive. I'm going to go the defensive route.
Something needs tinkering?
Now Toshly would have been just such a strong play. If I'd had Antonidas in my hand, I would have very strongly considered dropping that. But I'm going to tap. So I'm offering the trade here. And welcome. And a big welcome to Vlad, Ragnar, Tilly, Obring. Hello to you, Sparta as well. Thanks for joining live on Twitch. Good to have you with us. Okay, face, 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 and we can see that another secret went down. So, could that be explosive? Could it be freezing? We're going to have to find out. There's only one way to find out, and we're down to 10. So, first things first, is it freezing? Snake Trap. Okay, that's nasty. It gives my opponent more than enough damage to finish me off next turn. So, this could be Lossy Doom. There's actually nothing. I don't have a Flame Strike as a mage. If I played a Toshly, would that have been much different? I don't think there's any way. And you can see that because all of those were summoned, That caused me problems. So even though I've got a fantastic hand here, I'm just not going to be able to remove all of this as far as I can see. I can remove 2, can remove some. That's still going to leave my opponent with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I just don't think there's anything we can do to remove all of this. A Whirling Blade can remove that. I can trade another. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can we just reduce it to 9? We might be able to reduce it to 9. That's going to have to go down. That's going to have to go down. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we can just about survive by doing this. But this, it's not particularly ideal, and it's kind of saving us for one more turn. At best, Hunter could have a kill command or something. So a little bit of an unfortunate start there. Income is steady. Opponent has 7 on the table. We have 8. So it could well be a loss, but not to worry. This is actually pretty similar to the Hunter deck that we're packing in our back pocket. So again, if I could only win this if I had enough to do damage in one go. Now, had I thrown down Toshi, I might have been able to do a few more trades, potentially. Maybe the spare part would have made a difference. So Toshli could have been the better play. So that is us. Let's jump into another game. If you fancy different decks, do let us know. Okay, so we are taking a look at a sort of Mech Mage that should have Blingatron in. We've got a Paladin, mid-range Paladin in pocket, Control Warrior in pocket, and then also a bit of a different Hunter as well. So if you fancy any of those, do let us know. Okay, so what did we learn from that? There was probably a decision as to whether we played Toshli or not. Toshli could have let us do some more trades. Instead we went for the Mirror Entity, which didn't really benefit us, and the Tinkertown tech.
I must protect the wild.
You asked for it.
So into a Druid. Okay, nothing too much wrong with the starting hand. Throw back to boom. If we grab into, okay, much of a much. Mech Warper and Anoitron gives us a very strong turn 2 with coin.
Well played.
Oh, that was an accident. I did not actually mean to be him. Bad manners indeed. In comes a Wild Growth, so this could be a Ramping Druid, we're not quite sure. Either way, Wild Growth is certainly a sign and our Druid is trying to get somewhere fast. Nothing wrong with that as a turn 2. Now, curving it out, obviously, Harvest Golem will go down turn 3. I've not been able to fully benefit from the
Nox Ramus is ours.
Down goes Shade of Nexoramus. So Mirror Entity is very, very nice against Druids, because Druids want to play big and nasty things from hand. If they're ramping, they want to play big and nasty things from hand as fast as they can. So as soon as that hits the table, the Druid is thinking, okay, what do I do? What small minions? So playing against a Mirror Entity, you always want to try and play small stuff that you can deal with fast, so that if your opponent gets one, you can deal with it quickly. A Sludge Belcher likes just happened there. Fantastic. Such good, amazing value there. For me, I'm quite happy, because what I can do now is that I could go nuts, but what I'm really just going to do is push the attack. Really happy with that. My Mech Warper has done their job, and I've got myself a free 5-drop tank, so it's a really good example. Of course, that Shade of Nex can come punch through, do a lot of damage real fast, but you can see that I've got my curve planned out here. Next turn, 2 mechs, unless the Mech Warper dies. Okay, Mech Warper dies. Next go we can still play 2 mechs. Just don't get that little fireball. In fact, fireball is beneficial here. And a pretty good play there, but my opponents had to use a lot of pressure. Had to use a lot of removal. And more importantly for me, an entire turn to deal with that. So I'm going to throw down my fireball, it's just well worth it. Snow Chugger could very easily get Wrathed off the table or something similar, but it would allow me to play a Cogmaster as well. So for that reason I'm going to go for those two. I quite like freezing the Druid. If you can prevent that 1 damage from the shapeshift each go, then that's quite cool. Down goes a Dog Boom. That's going to be slightly painful. So Toshli, to Toshli or not to Toshli. Last time we decided not to Toshli. On this occasion, Harvest Golem and Tinkertown Tech give me a lot more to press the attack with. Freezing Doc Boom prevents anything, but the boom bots going off is not particularly nice either. So for that reason, I'm actually just going to go for press, 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 face, face, face.
Job's done.
And welcome Zano, joining us live as well. Down goes Belcher, that's going to be slightly tough to remove, but I can Doc Boom myself next turn. And this is where the boom bots do so well against aggro, but happily one of those to my face isn't doing so much pain. So that's my opponent in a nice position. However, I could go for others. What I'm going to go for is Black Knights, which is nice for a bit of removal. Down that goes, down this goes. You can charge to the face for more. So, opponent in a bit of a challenging position. They need a Poison Seeds, Savage Raw Force of Nature, of course, Druid 9 mana combo for 14 damage. Well, actually 12 because the hero's frozen and won't be able to attack. Doc Boom is there. The table is nicely set. Azure Drake drawing a card could draw into another swipe for 4 mana, or a Wrath, a bit more. Now, using Doc Boom to trade minions away, excellent. Needs to remove at least one of those to prevent lethal. There we go. Powered up Wrath. Now, if I had a Fireball in hand, this would still be winged. Comes the shapeshift, that'll be a 1 to the face. I only have 5. Doesn't even... was frozen, of course. I'm forgetting my own plays. So Doc Boom here gives me a very nice opportunity to pressure for the win again. Alternatives could Toshli. I cannot quite remove... Oh, I could just go for a trade on Doc Boom, actually. I could boom into a boom. That feels good. I'm going to remove my opponent's Doc Boom, freeze my opponent's hero for 2. Now, don't forget Druids have so many tanks. They do have Druid of the Claw, they do have nasty tree things, Ancient of War, which can turn into that 5 attack, 10 health tank. There we go, so well played.
Well played.
There are some beautifully fun Doc Boom plays. Ranjan Organ chat mentioning Dr. Boom. Triggered the trap and the bombs finished him. Trigger the trap, explosive trap kills 2 damage to all minions, triggers your boom bots and then finishes them off. Yeah, like the sound of that. Some fun things you can do with Doc Boom and those boom bots.
Jaina versus Rexa.
Let's the hunt begin.
You asked for it.
Okay, playing a Hunter. Had a few problems against a Hunter the other day. That's not a Hunter-friendly starting hand. Full mulligan. Frostbolts, Mad Scientists, any mechs. Okay, Cogmaster, not ideal. But we'll make a enter into a Snow Chugger. Excellent. That makes life a lot better.
I smell blood.
Maybe gone for N70. Commander Shepherd. So a Chugger, freezing Hunters is good. Hey, puffs me up to 3. We will probably see my opponent has the right cards and attempt to remove the Chugger. If not, it'll be a straight trade. Interesting that a Worgen Infiltrator has come out. Turn 1. Hunter's Mark into a Worgen Infiltrator. Fair enough. That's going to debuff me. In comes a Knife Juggler. Okay. Nothing that my opponent can summon, but forcing. In comes a coin for a 1-drop, and we're going to probably see a Web Spinner. Leponame, attempt to chip away my unlucky. See what they were trying to do there? They were trying to make sure that they got rid of my Snow Chugger. Instead it means I can get rid of the Juggler, so we could be with a full Face Rush Hunter here. Now, to deal with this, what I do is just control the minions. I'm quite happy to take all that off the table. Now, opponent does have tempo, but next turn I can Water Elemental. Very strong. Unless there's another Hunter's Mark there, going to be tough for my opponent to remove. In comes a Huffer. It's a little bit annoying. See my opponent try and trade it, but if this is a Face Hunter, my opponent's just going to throw it to my face fast and often. So a Water Elemental will slow things down. I'm actually going to go for this, because I'd like to trade to get a trap. A Mirror Entity will help. Opponent's going to want to throw down loads of minions. Anything I can grab from my opponent's minions will help. Mad Scientist into Mad Scientist, so we're going for trap to trap. We're going to see face, 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 to which I would quite like to Water Elemental up and protect myself. So Water Elemental, I need to slow down opponent at all costs. When I goes Huffer, I'm not going to give my try into my opponent's trap. Well, I've got a Mirror Entity. In fact, I'm going to trade that because I need to prevent the additional damage. So if that's an explosive trap, it is awkward for me. But really, when I throw down a Harvest Golem, down comes an Arcane Golem, so this is a Face Hunter. I also get one of those though, which is good. I can use it for trading purposes. Steady Shot, however I know that there's probably going to be an explosive trap there. Face, 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 face. Fireball, interesting. Okay, so I can see if this is a freezing. Firstly, let's make the trade. Okay, so could have... was that a misplay? The Black Knight will help me make trades. That's not going to... So that probably was a misplay because I could have played two. The Black Knight and the Harvest Golem then. So I really need to be able to outburst my opponent here. So I think either way we need to see what this trap is. Probably going to be an explosive. Righty, so we're loads of ways that opponent can push off, but at least we can freeze. That's not going to help if all kinds of stuff hits the table. So Harvest Golem really inconsequential at this point. Random question, what do you think about Sylvanas Windrunner? She looks loads of fun. I hope there's a patch soon. She was floating around in the artwork at BlizzCon, so she's been on the slate for quite some time. Unleash the Hounds, give edge, we then have... what else? Okay, so we need to make the trades. Now there will be an explosive trap behind that. So is it a Toshli? Can we burst our opponent down? That is the question. I need to freeze this.
I'm invincible. I'm invincible.
The explosive trap will cause problems, but I really just need to make these trades. Tricky. Fireball could get me close. Toshli could get me close. But I need to do the 1 mana to remove one of these. Which drops me down to 6 anyway. So Toshli, giving me the spare part could make a difference. Whirling Blades, okay, that's just going to be an attack. I'm going to have to play into that. It's going to be an explosive, so we've got 3 there into 5 anyway. So we can see that additional... Oh, and there's the bursted damage for the win anyway. Face, 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 face. I guess it needs to be something to slow down hunters. True, so in a Rush v Rush, my newer entities didn't quite trigger there. Alrighty then. So yeah, Sylvanas, as we were talking about. I quite like the look of Sylvanas. CG hero. Being able to do something against bases and towers. I quite like those abilities. The rain of arrows that she has seems quite good. It seems if you're skilled with it you can kind of keep it going and sort of cycle it, so that looks pretty good. Yeah, she looks like she could be quite fun. And then also the interesting thing about the heroic ability that takes over an enemy minion, it does not say whether you can take over like boss golems and things. I'd imagine that'd be a little bit too powerful, but if you could, that'd be really interesting. So say on a map like Haunted Mines, you can spin around and nick the enemy boss golem, turn it around, do some damage for a bit, maybe kill it. Sylvanas becomes a very powerful pick on that kind of map. So that'll be interesting to see. So we've got a Mage v Mage here. What do we go for? Well, coining into a Water Elemental would be very nice. I'm going to go for the early game pressure into a Snow Chugger next turn. If there is a Fireball and we lose the Clockwork Gnome, then so be it. Fire Blast. There we go. So removal, and Snow Chugger in. A Mirror Entity would be spiffing at this point. So now I'll cut Runneth Over when it comes to turn 4 options. Water Elemental will help us trade against any other mechs, but given that we've not seen anything for 2-3 turns, there's either a very slow Mech Mage or it's a control-y, may well be a control-y stally mage. Given that all we've seen is spells, Arcane Missile's an interesting pick. I'm going to do 2, yeah, sure is. RNG is favouring our opponent, but not to worry. So I'm going to lob this down so it can be removed. If not, Blast Mage comes in, but not a single minion by turn 4 indicates to me the freeze Storm Mage that's quite happy at the moment. Flame Cannon, yeah, this is a Storm Mage. What it will do is throw down some... Ooh, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Righty then, I've got my turn 5 play all mapped out. Clockwork Gnome and Goblin Blast Mage. This could still be a Mech Mage, but given the flame cannons and all that early game control, we'll very soon see in the next couple of turns. If it's all mechs flying on the table, then it's a Mech Mage slightly delayed. It feels like a Mech Mage slightly delayed now. It certainly does now. Righty then. Okay, so I feel we've got a nice little trade we can make. It's down to 5 is nasty. Knows that if I go for the Shredder, then that's going to be causing problems. Let's go for the Blast Mage and see what we can get rid of. Oh, we can get rid of some, but not all. So for that reason, I'm going to throw that out to stop the cheap mechs flooding the table. I can deal with that piloted Shredder and hopefully what it spawns, unless it's nothing too nasty. Anything too nasty. There goes Tinkertown Toad. Water Elementals. In comes Cruel Taskmaster, happy with that. Emergency Calling, it's certainly going to slow me a turn. That means I can make some trades, and down goes a Snow Chugger. Righty then, so Doc Boom is going to be out next turn for sure. What is actually nice in this turn, I've got a couple of different options. I actually don't need to Fireball. Throw in another Water Elemental, powering up, and let's take out the Snow Chugger as being the most threatening of the bunch. Rusty Horn. Would I have wanted to Rusty Horn there? Potentially. Could have Rusty Horn my large Water Elemental. Prevents the easy trade. Blast Mage, however, is probably going to enable my opponents.
Whoops.
Oh, didn't have a mech down.
I'm sorry.
I've done that before. It's not a sarcastic sorry in the slightest. I've generally done that before. Had a Tinkertown tech down and thought, yeah, mech Blast Mage. Oh. Oh dear. Remember that loses its next attack, so it's going to be frozen for the next turn. Fire Blast, okay, picking away. But I can Doc Boom first, my opponent's low on cards, so we like that very much. Pretty unlikely that my opponent's going to be able to remove Doc Boom on a top deck. Okay, yeah, possible, I'll take that back. Jeeves plays into my opponent's hands very well. Empties a hand and draws 3. Fills up the hand. An excellent position. Now, I want to kill Jeeves, but I can remove all of these. So opponent's going to refill hand. Fire Blast, hopefully going to... Oh dear, not quite. But a full hand to restore. So Jeeves played perfectly well there. Accelerates my opponent into the late game. However, we have a few tricks of our own that we can play with. So first things first, let's see if I can remove Jeeves. Oh dear, that's not so good. Right, plays to be made. Removing Jeeves I think is probably number 1. I can put this into this. This is going to help me trade away one of these next turn. The Snow Chugger I could just take. I don't really want my opponent recharging their hand anymore, so I'm going to tip a bit off with Doc Boom now. got feelings though maybe suiciding the bomb bot into one of the others rather than Jeeves would have been a better plan, because I could have killed it with Doc Boom anyway. The trades popping through, in comes a fireball for the one removal. The opponent now has table and plays something that's not too offensive to trigger my mirror entity, so my opponent's got better side of that. In comes a frostbolt, that's a very heavy removal but leaves my opponent with a snow chugger on the table, which is what I've certainly gone for. So the Archmage, now is it time to Archmage? I think it's time to Archmage next turn. Just to get the table a little under control. Yeah, because even if I Archmage and do one removal, there's an off chance my opponent could get all of that off the table. So I'm going to play into that. Next turn I can Rusty Horn. It's even nicer if you have the stealthy cloaking Flippity Gibbet. In comes that trade, if we're going to see that. Yep, we see that trade popping up. We see a trade for the Snow Chugger, I'm very happy, but remember Doc Boom could hit the table. Arcane Missiles, yep, good play. Randomness gets removed, and goes a Spider Tank. This feels just about dealable. The Archmage pulls me into a winning position. So if I throw this down, I can do that. I can emergency call at this. Is nice, and then I can still throw down that frostbolt to remove that other minion. 2 fireballs in hand. Nicely done. So we can now start the cycling of fireballs. So whatever minions my opponent throws on the table, I'll be able to deal with. The question is, can they deal with the Archmage? They can't, so that was the correct course of plays. Back up to 12 we go. We need to start at rank 14. Maybe we can break rank 10 for season. Call this a Mech Mage special. Reginald jumping in chat and saying, oh, Sword of Justice will give the +1/+1 to, pardon me, the Boombots before Dr. Boom. Very interesting, so making your 1/1 Boombots 2/2, pretty nasty. Hunter again, so we pretty much had a Hunter meta at the moment. Do we keep Goblin Blast Mage? It will swing the game for us, but we don't have the low drops to go with the Mech Warper. I'm going to let that go. If I had one more low drop, I'd be tempted to keep that, but that's actually worked out really, really. Lovely. So we have the lovely turn 1 drop, so there's actually a nice little accelerated play here. I want the Scientist down. Next turn I can play Mech Warper and Gnome for free into Tinkertown turn 4, so I'm happy to coin. I'm not going to wait for the coin for Toshly. That's a little bit late, but we've just got a beautiful little ramp here, and even the Mirror Entity if we prefer that. So a lovely little easy play here. Going to throw into that. I can actually pop this, bring in the 2. Probably see those 2, punch those 2 off the table. The reason I'm just getting rid of that Haunted Creeper is twofold. One, if a Knife Juggler hits the table, I don't want the chip damage from those 2 spawn spiders. Knife Juggler, whenever a minion is summoned, game 1, do a random damage. The second one is that this kind of hunter, as we've seen with Houndmaster, and that can make a Haunted Creeper into a 3/4 tank, which is awkward and annoying and inconvenient and all kinds of things. So we've kind of been a little bit bursted away by our opponent there. No freezes available, a little bit annoying. Other options, well, the Tinkertown tech will certainly give us table stability and position, but then we don't know what's going to happen turn 4. I'm gonna get the Tinkertown tech up, and actually I was thinking about Mirror Entity. Do you know what? That's why we sacrifice our Mad Scientist.
To my side.
In comes Leok. Now Leok, of course, being summoned by Animal Companion. That's a summon, that's not a play of a minion, so as I've been learning and remembering, we I'm not going to get any massive benefit there. Okay, all of that goes down. Do I want to Rusty Horn anything? Not really. I'll save Rusty Horn for the time being. So we can throw into another Mirror Entity. If nothing else is coming, then Toshli. The opponent plays a minion, I'll Mirror Entity next go, can then potentially Fire Blast. But against a Hunter, as we were saying earlier, I want to try and get rid of Leok, if at all possible. Just the global one attack. Other friendly minions having one attack, very, very awkward. Not limited to beasts, not limited to adjacent minions, just all minions. It's like a raid leader, but with more health. So pretty nasty indeed.
Get in there and fight, maggot!
In comes the Mirror Entity, and we can see that buff to 4/4. I get my own one. Unleash the Hounds allows the trade, meaning that we may well see my poor Snow Chugger hit the deck. But really, if this is face huntering, which given that there's an abusive sergeant, I'd imagine it is going to face hunter, all of that should kind of go to face. So Mirror Entity not massively benefited us there. Doing the maths, we have a tidy 10 damage to face if my opponent moves quick. I can't deal with it all. I'm actually going for the trades. I don't mind that hugely. Oh, just the one trade actually. Now, interesting that of all the things that my opponent decided to trade, went for the Cogmaster. Mirror Entity can help me here. I can certainly slow some of this, but not all of this down. So, can I get rid of Leok? I can with a Fireball. And that then drops everything else into a slightly lower state for me to deal with. But the Mirror Entity could help me with other things. I can certainly remove one, but I would prefer to take Leok. I think, bless me, if I grab, I think Leok is the right play there. We'll get rid of everything else. I can just do a direct trade there, and that will drop everything like so. So my opponent will still need to find a buff or something else to get rid of that Snow Chugger, but they have tempo. Could go either way. Toshi will be a nice drop. Can certainly help me trade against the aggro. Down goes a Piloted Shredder. We'll probably just see a blue. Steady shots, nicely done. And some more chip damage. So our challenge Mirror Entity isn't the play. We're going to Toshli. The alternative, ooh, though, there is a tempting option. I'm going to go for the Frostbolt and hope that it's not into. That's actually a nasty drop, because if I remove this, then I'm feeding my opponent cards. I'm kind of going to have to get rid of that. It's nasty. Out of the 2 drops that you can get from a Piloted Shredder, you certainly don't want to be seeing too many of those. Blood Mage Thalnos, very, very nasty indeed. Mango's Dot Boom, perfect 10-7. If I had a Mirror Entity, it would have just given me the Dot Boom, of course, and not everything else. Not so good. So, Toshli helps. Mirror Entity does not help so much. I can freeze this and certainly slow things down. I think the Water Elemental is fairly tanky. Toshli, it will help me freeze and slow anything else. So I'm actually going to go for this. Risky. My opponent will know that's a Mirror Entity, so they're going to want to try and play into that. The reason I've gone for that gives me another freezing option on the table, gives me potentially another minion summon. Toshi would have given me this, but wouldn't have given me sort of the additional. I'm trying to get as many minions on the board as possible. Down goes a Knife Juggler. I get my own Knife Juggler, easily removed with a Bomb Bot potentially. Boom Bots, there we go. One to the face, opponent quite happy that all goes to the face. 4 damage, very nasty on my Water Elemental. It's certainly not going to let me do any big trades. With a Belcher on the table as well. See, this Hunter is now a bit more of a mid-range one. Has really firmly got control of the table. Going to be hard for me to do anything, but turning Toshli into a tank will help slow the tide. Nicely done. Oh, we have options here, so I can freeze all of this, which I'm actually going to do. So Toshli in here is actually replacing Blingatron. Blingatron, a little bit of a funny card. We'll equip you with a weapon, equip your opponent with a weapon as well, used to try and do some burst. I'll throw in Toshli because he works well like Gazlo with the finishing of Mech Mage. And if I grab some dust, I've got a decision to make as to whether I go for the legendary, they escaped me. Lothar, painful against a mage, they had spells in hand, I don't have any. And here's the problem, the mid to late game hunter is now kind of taken over the table. So, as a result, we have problems. Ooh, nice little punch there. We'll probably see Lothar disappear, but with 4 cards in hand, it's probably going to be a good game. There we go, there's the trade. Base, base, base. Well played. So, the ladder shuffle continues. Okay, so picking one final deck. It's been a little bit of a ladder and learn Mech Mage type session. Feeling good actually, sitting firmly in rank 12, managed to get the little win streak together, and really at these ranks it's just getting the win streak together a bit earlier. That it's all that matters. If you get the win streak, then suddenly you start climbing ranks very quick, or you can be stuck at a rank for a particular time. So it depends on the decks you're playing against, how well you're feeling with your play as well, how good your particular play is going. I often find this too. I fancy something a little bit different. Or should we just go for one more Mech Mage? Let's go for one more Mech Mage then. Good to do. Generally, of course, always when laddering, very, very good if you can stick to a deck or two, so that you can rotate between a couple of different decks. You can get to know your decks well enough that you know them backwards. Oh, it's a Golden Warrior. I'm going to assume that this is control. Alrighty then, Control Warrior I know very well, it's close to my heart. I'm happy with Mad Scientist and Frostbolt. Mad Scientist, 2 Frostbolts, excellent. So we will see if it's Control, Mech Warper. Great, if I draw onto some more mechs, I need to cause this warrior enough pain and damage by the mid game, otherwise it's going to go badly. Into a Toshli. Well, happy with the Mad Scientist. Now, Mirror Entity, very important against Control Warrior. Control Warrior, of course, has so many big late game drops that they will want to, in the early game, try and throw down things like Cruel Taskmaster, maybe Acolyte of Pain, maybe Armor Smith, things that for them don't matter so much. Mirror entitying things as we saw in that other game, like a Sludge Belcher, or heaven forbid Shield Masters, Doc Booms, Ragnaros, Alexstrasza, you name all of the big legendaries that a Control Warrior finishes with. Into a Deathbite, we'll probably see a swing, potentially remove the Mad Scientist. Nope, going for the thinking about it, much better play, stopping me from summoning in any cheap mechs, making the Goblin Blast Mage a little pointless. However, this is where mages can start being rather annoying. I can freeze him and freeze him, so that poor Garrosh, is not going to be moving anywhere. Now, if I manage to get my Snow Chugger out, this is the situation in which Snow Chugger shines bright like a star.
Let the pain
Deny the weapon damage, then I'm halfway there. Okay, decision to make. Lothar will certainly slow things down, prevents my opponent from spelling, executing, but my opponent will probably punch into that. I cannot sacrifice Mad Scientist. I can ideally want to remove Acolyte of Pain in one go, but that denies me the freeze on the enemy hero. So, challenges and challenges. Lothar will be giving me excellent table position. Note that if I play the Lothar, my opponent would probably just attack that straight and remove, trigger the Acolyte of Pain anyway. I'm going to go for that. Now I lose the freeze and give my opponent a card draw, but any other options are really feeding my opponent more than one card out of that Acolyte of Pain, and I don't really want to do that. So we're okay, but Control Warriors at this stage can throw down Sludge Belchers, all kinds. There we go, called it. I've not managed to sacrifice this Mad Scientist. If I'd been able to sacrifice the Mad Scientist, we would have had better and general times. Pardon me. So a Fireball in. I am then going to get a punch through this. I want to get rid of my Mad Scientist. I need that Mirror Entity so much. Turn 7, we've got a Mech Warper into a Blast Mage. I can throw down Toshli or Lotheb. I'm good, but I just need to make sure that my opponent doesn't get set up on this turn. 4 attack, we see, okay, the Whirlwind comes in, armor's up, another entity, so I'm happy with that. Let's see what hits the table. A Neutron, interesting pick, but of course one of the less worrying things that my opponent would like to see on my side of the table. My opponent would rather see me having a Neutron than anything too nasty. Now if I Mech Warper into Blast Mage, I have a problem because Armorsmith is going to be charging my opponent up with all kinds of armor. What I really need to be doing is finding a way through this particular conundrum. So I'm going to throw down Lotheb, deny spells for a turn. I'm not going to be at risk of Brawl or anything like that. Mech Warper will help me move up the table next turn. I'm going to put that in there. Now of course the bubble going doesn't cause damage, meaning that Armorsmith is not going to gain armor. Fury Winnax comes in, we'll see a bit of removal. There's 1 chip, more armor, 2 chip. Tank removed, Mech Warper goes, all of the mechs have gone, so played by my opponent. We've got the Blast Mage to come through. So opponent is now armouring up and getting back in the game. This we do not like, this we would like to deal with. The Black Knight feels like a waste of Neutron, but allows me to start bringing the attack. Toshli gives me the spare parts, I can then fireball in and still attack. Water Elemental threatens me to start freezing my opponent, which is pretty handy indeed. Tough decision between those 3. There'll probably be another Sludge Belcher, so that's the reason for the Black Knight, but the Black Knight will swing me with tempo and still let me attack. Alternatively, we know that there'll still be weapons. Toshli's a nice solid card. I'm going to give Toshli a go. I'm going to remove the armor because I don't want additional armor hitting the table rather than hitting face. Okay, so we're all sorted there. There goes a thorough piece of removal. Set up the shield slamming, comes the execute on Lotheb. So look at how quickly my opponent's got from nothing to hypercharged, and that is the danger. The danger of Control Warrior. We've still got a few tricks up our sleeve. Mirror Entity. At this stage of the game, my opponent's going to want to be playing big and nasty stuff. Anytime that they don't play big and nasty stuff to play around my Mirror Entity, it buys me another turn. What I really now is Antonidas. A shield block. See, our opponent is now at the stonking 37 and attacking face by the looks of things. Oh, deciding to go 3 snap, going for face means that they can throw on a death spite. Comes an Armorsmith, I fully expect a death spite on top. No, another Fury War Axe. Opponent's just going to be charged up. If only there was a melt armor card, that would be splendid. Now see, I need to keep Black Knight in hand, and I could probably do with keeping Blast Mage in hand as well, because I feel that a Sludge Belcher would probably cost me game. So at this point in time, even though I'm wasting mana by not throwing these on the table, in fact I've got 2 Blast Mages, I'm going to drop 1 Blast Mage as an experiment. I can always rewind at the time rewind. The reason I'm keeping the Black Knight is I still feel that there's going to be a Sludge Belcher that comes in at some point, and being able to deal with that quickly will make the difference. In comes the Taskmaster, does 1, and of course a great thing for Mirror Entity, my opponent does not care at all if a 2 million hits the table, and a nice removal there. Big game huntering it. Still frozen, but I can still deal with that, so we are just continuing to chip away with bit of pressure upon bit of pressure. I would like to get rid of this. I'm going to trade that away. Now, I don't really want to give my opponent the option of damaging my Frost Elemental, because that's what could be the difference between victory and defeat. If I can just slow him down enough. However, the problem is I'm not drawing into my win conditions. In comes the Shield Slam, and there is the freezing planes gone. Down goes Doc Boom, very hard for us now to deal with that. And of course, if we had Rusty Horn, giving that minion taunt, the Black Knight could actually remove Doc Boom. Instead we have a Snow Chugger. Problematic. Chugger, 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 chugger. Okay, so removal wise, I think, given that we've not won the game by this stage, it's probably going to be a loss. I can chip away at dot boom. I can try something a little cutesy. I should have probably attacked first, but just lost that for no reason. Should have done the damage with that. No Whirling Blades. The Black Knight is not hugely going to help us at this point, bar being Doc Boom trade fodder. So I'm still going to keep that in hand, but it looks as though, because we've not won early to early mid-game, Control Warrior at this stage almost going to be impossible to remove. There we go. This looks like a doom. Those of you not from the UK or England, you may know it actually. It's fairly famous. There's a UK show called Dad's Army, which detailed the lives of the Home Guard when the UK was under attack in World War II, and when all kinds of people who weren't off at war were conscripted, sort of the older people and things like that. So it's effectively a bunch of pensioners protecting Britain. Ooh, and the whole rattling is not really doing too much, but that's going to most likely be win or winabouts for my opponent next time. One of the characters in Dad's Army was Scottish, and his phrase was, "We're doomed, lad, doomed." So a nice easy draw there, sacrificing the Acolyte of Pain. If my Boombot hits that Acolyte, another card draw. 1 damage, not going to worry too much about that. Straight into 4 Romash. I play a Control Warrior. I know a well played one is very pointless. Armour up there. But you can see that that was working so nice. So there we have it. That is our loss, and back down another number, so we are floating round about where we started. Rank 12, hero belts. Not just out of it yet. We'll see how we go. This, of course, being the last season before Hearthstone's new adventure mode, which is very exciting. Blackrock Mountain, of course. So everyone probably going to be trying for a legend before the metagame changes as the 31 new cards come in. So we'll see how we go over the next week or two. Maybe, I always say this, maybe it's going to be a legend month. We'll see how we go. Thank you for tuning in. If you're live, don't go away. We'll stream on a bit after silently. If you are on YouTube, do come join us. If you take a look in this column here, you can see twitch.tv/FailCraft Cast. We go live Monday through Friday. The time's just below. We'll always tweet on @FailCraft Cast on Twitter when we're going to be going live. We've also got YouTube there. All of our previous shows are there. You can catch up with 2-minute deck guides, Hearthstone news, little bits of speculation, fun arenas, pick your own arena we do every Tuesday and more, so go check that out. Other games too, Heroes of the Storm, bits and bobs of other Blizzard games and PC stuff, and overall goodness. Last but not least, website failcraft.org. All the videos go up there eventually, a few other bits and bobs too. So thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully see you soon, and take it easy.